So, hi friends, today we'll talk about the Sabarimala Temple issue, okay, which is most probably the possibility of this particular article with respect of right to equality and right to religion. Yeah, you are everyone listening me right that the issue related with the Sabarimala Temple, which is associated with the Lord Ayappa. Everyone, this is the story of our southern India's state of Kerala's story, okay, in which the thinking behind this temple and the Lord Ayappa's worship that only the only the women and the girls who are less than the age of the 10 year and who are the more than the age of 50 year are allowed to enter in this particular temple. So now the question is, why the restriction over the age from 10 to 50 years of girls and women kind of, and why the question in our independent India, in which we are the responsible for the inequalities and the different kind of certainties with respect of our gender discrimination, and why we again and again are facing the issue which is rising rapidly with respect of women. When we talked about, if I just talk about the basic difference between both of the gender, male or female, okay. So everyone, first of all, we'll talk about the story behind the Sabarimala Temple and its origin. So it is the story about 5,000-year-old shrine dedicated to Lord Ayappa, believed to be the son of Shiva and Vishnu. Yeah, everyone. Lord Ayappa is considered as a son of Shiva and Vishnu, and the temple is deeply rooted in Hindu mythology and has evolved from a tribal shrine to a major pilgrimage site known for its 18 sacred steps, strict 41-day fasting, and message of equality. So everyone, if this particular temple's origin is talking about the message of equality, so why the question is raising about the inequality? Why? With respect of women with comparison of men. Okay, let's see. Key historical and mythological aspects. Mythological origin. What is the mythological origin behind this temple? So legend says Lord Ram visited this spot. Location is the Sabarimala Temple, okay. Now, which was named after the tribal devotee Shabri, जो यहाँ पे थोड़ा हिंदी यूज़ करती हूँ. तो शबरी जो कि हम जानते हैं कि जब लॉर्ड श्री रामा went go to the वनवास kind of, and there he met to a tribal devotee Shabri, and kind of the fruit which is known as the beras were eaten by Lord Rama and kind of. So Lord Ayappa or Manikandan is believed to have been born of the union of Shiva and Vishnu. So here the two lords are also in highlighting phase. One is the Shiva and another is the Vishnu, okay. So to destroy the demon is Mahishi, ठीक है. The 18 steps, Pathi Netam Padi. The temple, located on a hilltop, features 18 sacred steps representing spiritual milestones, the 18 Puranas or 18 hills in the region, okay. So the 18 steps are important, which is known as the Pachi Netam Padi ya Padi, okay. Let's see about the evolution of worship, how the worships evolved, okay. The site has been multiple layers of history, starting as a tribal shrine potentially influenced by the Buddhist ideas, example chanting, equality, and the term dharma, okay. As guys, we are often read in our history too about the Buddhism, Jainism, and the Shaktism and the Vaishnavism, and kind of also the lingas and kind of different kind of religion and deities are prevalent in our history kind of. About them we read nowadays, okay. So And the before layers of history starting as tribal shine potentially influenced by the Buddhist ideals, example chanting equality and the term dharma. I have been repeated it again, sorry for that. So before being integrated into mainstream Hindu tradition, the management and the development in the 18th, the Thazamon Madom family took over management under the Pandalam royal family, formalizing the rituals. Okay, key traditions: pilgrims must undertake a strict 41-day vratam. Yeah, you can associate it as wo, which means of celibacy and austerity. Wear black or blue clothing and carry the irumudi ketu, a sacred bundle. So here the meaning of the irumudi ketu means is sacred bundle, and the 41-day of vratam is important as a celibacy and the austerity, as we have already talked about, like the Lord Ayappa, who is considered as the son of the Shiva and Vishnu, who performed the celibacy. And if we allow the girls after 10 to 50 years, so it's somewhere the issue of his celibacy caused Lord Ayappa for the celibacy, and the 10 to 50 years of girls to women are also who has a period cycle and menstrual system are associated with them. So this is the main reason behind this particular issue which is rising in our news, and which is again and again arising in our news. So key tradition, it's as I have been talked about the 41-day vratam of the celibacy. So it is the important term over here, celibacy and the austerity. Wear the black or blue clothing. Here the need to wear black or blue clothing, carry the irumudi ketu, sacred bundle, on their heads, and while climbing the steps. So whenever a devotee go to the Lord Ayappa's temple, exception is about the 10 to 50 years, girls and women are exception over this particular article. So whenever a devotee climb the 18 steps of that particular temple, Sabarimala Temple, which is associated with the Lord Ayappa, so it is considered that the sacred bundles, which is considered as irumudi ketu, would kept on their head while climbing the steps. So this is the matter. Recent history. What is the recent history about this? So in 2018, the Supreme Court permitted women of all ages to enter the temple. If I just talk about the right to equality, which is considered as under Article 14 of our Indian Constitution, which is the part 3rd of our Indian Constitution, where the fundamental right lies from 12 to 35. So, and it is again the issue which is right to religion, which comes under Article 25 to. Wait a moment. Right to religion, which is comes under Article 25 to 28. Okay, and again the Article 14, which is talk about right to equality. So in the year of 2018, the Supreme Court judgment, there was the five judges bench, 4:1. Total 5 judges were there, amongst which 4 won the one side and another one is the one side. Okay, and where in that particular judgment, Supreme Court permitted women of all ages to enter the temple, because it was the matter of right to equality and right to religion under our fundamental rights. So, and as of now, only below the 10 and after the 50 years of women's are banned, kind of, this was the news, but in the judgment of the 2018, it's been allowed to all. And again this issue's been raised in our news and kind of. So okay, sorry for this. Yeah, so it is direct violation of the right to equality under Article 14, as I have been talked about it, and also the violation of the right to religion under Article 25. Okay, so guys, it is again the article in our news that here the headlines are the balancing the faith, dignity and the constitutional rights. Here guys, you can also associate it. Wait a moment, let me show this another slide. Yeah, you can see the 17 SDGs of United Nations. Let me also try to associate these SDGs in with respect of our fundamental right. Okay, so here guys, if I just talk about gender equality of 17 SDGs, so here then the goal 5 talk about the gender equality, and again the goal 10 talk about the reduce inequalities. Means you have to treat each and every one no matter which gender is he or she is associated, but you have to be treat them as a equal, as a human entity and an individual. So that's why I thought that I should associate this particular slide of the SDGs also with it. Okay, so again we'll talk about our Western Ghats location. It is the Western Ghat and it is our Eastern Ghats. Okay, so Kerala is lying over here. Okay, and the Puducherry has 4 districts. One is the Puducherry, Karaikal Puducherry. Okay, and the second is the Yanam Puducherry, which lies in our Andhra Pradesh, and the Mahe Puducherry, which is the part of the Puducherry, but it is the district of the Puducherry which lie in our Kerala. So here the location of the Sabarimala Temple, and the Kerala's capital is the Thiruvananthapuram, and who is the CM? So please again let me know in the comment section, guys, because before 2 days I have already talked about the Kerala's new name Kerala as it's been considered. Okay, and the process is running. Let's see what would be the final decision about the Kerala's change name into the Kerala. Okay, so again please let me know in the comment section that who is current CM of the Kerala. Okay, so here everyone, these are the lines which are here about that particular article. Okay, so something about this particular article we should talk about, because this article would provide you all depth gist, okay, not only about this particular incident but also the another information which are running in our news, and also the another issues which are correlated with this particular article. Okay, so let's see. When a 5-judge bench of the Supreme Court of India delivered its verdict in the September 2018, as I have been talked about this already, in Indian Young Lawyers Association versus State of Kerala, this was the judgment. Yaad rakhna hai, you have to keep this judgment in your mind. I'm repeating it again. Indian Young Lawyers Association was the one side, and another side were the State of the Kerala. Opening the doors of the Kerala's Sabarimala Temple to women of all ages. So in the year of 2018, all women were allowed to enter in this particular temple according to the judgment of the 5 judges bench. So it provoked a large range of reaction when it's been allowed. And again, as we know that every equal action has equal and opposite reaction according to the Newton's law. Okay, so wahi hua fir. So there were protests across the country, and especially in the Kerala, where the many believed that the court had overlooked and even disrespected religious creed, and others saw the verdict as transformative, as outlining a vision that enlivened the constitution. And now, close to a decade later, the court will hear final argument on review petitions that seek to overturn the earlier verdict. Okay, sorry, and the law it laid down. So here the ratio of the 4:1, and there was an opinion from then Chief Justice of India Deepak Mishra in the year of 2018. The CJI, who was the CJI of our country, of the Supreme Court, so he was the Mr. Deepak Mishra sir, to which Justice A.M. Khanwilkar joined, and there were separate concurring opinion from Justice Rohinton Nariman and D.Y. Chandrachud, and a notable dissent from Justice Indu Malhotra. But despite the cleavage in the rationales and adopted, the majority findings were clear. The court ruled that the devotees of the Lord Ayyappa did not constitute a separate religious denomination, and second, that the bar enforced on women between the age of 10 and 15 from entering the temple, violating the rights of women of the freedom of religion, and third, the Rule 3B of the Kerala Hindu place worship authorization of the entry rules 1965. So here the Rule 3B is important over here, Rule 3B, and the year you need to keep in your mind, 1965. It is the important. Okay, so again let me show you here the story about the Sabarimala temples. Let's read something more about this particular article. So here the matter of this particular article, that call to resolve tension of this kind of tension are need to be resolved. The court has used a test that has allowed it to virtually sit in theological judgment and over religious practices. That is, it examines and arrives at a factual conclusion on whether a practice in question is essential to the religion or not. This has meant that the court has effectively determined not only those areas where it might be constitutionally justifiable for the state to intervene, but has also determined that kinds of practices are deserving of constitutional protection in the first place. And again, for example, in Shastri Yagna Prushadji versus Muldas Bahadurdas Vaishya 1966, CJI P.V. Gajendra Gadkar deduced what was essential to the followers of the Swaminarayan sect through selective references to Hindu texts without so much as asking what the conscience of the followers in fact. So it was another judgment from another case. Okay? And nothing more than is important apart from these particular judgments and the story behind the Sabarimala Temple and the right to equality, and along with associated with the right to religion kind of. So here in the last stanza, as before the discussing over the last stanza, here we'll also talk about the on and anti-exclusion test. What is the anti-exclusion test, everyone? So it is for this reason that Justice Chandrachud proposed in anti-exclusion test. So Justice Chandrachud proposed this particular anti-exclusion test. In his formulation, this norm would allow for due differences. This norm would allow due differences to be shown to each religious group to determine for themselves what doctrine and tenets to follow. That what doctrines and tenets to follow. Okay. At the same time, should any such practice exclude an individual in a manner which impairs their dignity or hampers their access to basic goods, the freedom of religion must give way to the overarching value of a liberal constitution. So it was from the anti-exclusion test from the side of the Justice Chandrachud sir. So guys, it was the judgment. By contrast, under the anti-exclusion test, a court accept as a starting point the autonomy of religious groups to define their own tenets, that it's the matter of their particular following of the religion as another religious group, as different religious group are lying there in our country from different religions, belong to different religions. Okay. So it only intervene to ensure that the exercise of that liberty does not lead to a systematic exclusion of individuals from the places or benefits that are integral to their ability to lead a life of dignity. And when the 9th judge bench begins its hearing, and again the 9th judge bench came over here in the practice, and bench begins its hearing, and they started to hearing their judgment and the different kind of views of the people associated with that. So it will have the opportunity to reflect on the broader architecture of India's religious freedom clauses. So it is about the India's broader architecture of religious freedom clauses. The principle it lays down will have a bearing not only on the Sabarimala disputes but also on a host of other controversies as well. So as I have been already talked to you guys that it is not the it is not the particular article with respect of Sabarimala Temple. It is correlating with another incidents which are associated with different kind of judgment and the issue rising about the right to follow the right to religion of different religions also. So again, including the rights of the Dawoodi Bohra community. Listen guys, Dawoodi Bohra community members against the excommunication and of Parsi women to continue to practice the Zoroastrian faith upon marrying outside the religion. In this particular case, what happened, a woman from the Parsi religion, she practiced marry outside her religion. So with respect of this incident, this is the article and this is the line which is going to be discussed over here. So as the framer of the constitution recognized, religion and social life are inextricably connected in India. We are very well known about that the religion and the social life are inextricably connected in India. So this makes it impossible for courts to remain entirely indifferent to the real life consequences of the religious practices. The anti-exclusion test acknowledges that faith must remain autonomous in its own domain, but its outward exercise must comport and with the Constitution's commitment to equal moral membership. If the individual is to remain the basic unit of the constitutional concern, communitarian claims cannot override a person's right to access spaces and institutions that shape civic life in placing dignity at the heart of the inquiry. The anti-exclusion test of a framework that remains truest to the Constitution, which remains truest to the Constitution's transformative promise by protecting belief without licensing discrimination in its name. So guys, if I just talk about this particular article in gist, so more or less it is about the right to equality, also the gender equality, and also about the right to religion with respect of the freedom of our constitutional aspects, and also our judiciary's aspects in which that our judiciary can command. So I just hoping so everyone you are liking the session and also getting depth knowledge via my sessions. So do like, share and subscribe. Thank you so much.